using the calculator. Let's look at some examples. We're asked to calculate the following. Firstly, 15 squared. Now the 15 being squared means multiplied by itself, but there is a calculator button for that. So we type in the 15, and the squared, we're looking for a button that looks like that, x squared. And if you press that button and press equals, you get 225. 7 to the power of 4. Now the 7, we'll type that in firstly. Now to the power of 4, you'll need to find a button that looks like that, x to the y, to the power of 4. That means 7 to the power of 4. You press equals, and if you've done it right, 2,401. Now if you don't have that button, the x to the y button, you may be looking for another button that looks like that. Alright, so that might be your power button on your calculator. So try that if you've got that button, 7 to the power of 4, and see whether you get it this time. 2,401. Negative 5 to the power of 3. Well, negative 5, it's very important with raising a negative to a power that you put brackets around it. So even if it doesn't have the brackets, we should put the brackets around it. So negative 5, then to the power of 3. That's to the power of 3. Press equals, and you should get negative 125. Okay, the difference might be is if you don't have that power button, of course, you might be looking for this other power button. Alright, if you do that, you should also get minus 125. Question 4. 12 minus 5 times 2, all of that is in brackets, and it's to the power of 6. So we put that, as we see it, from left to right, using the brackets, to the power of 6, right, to the power of 6, and press equals, 64. Alright, the other variance, of course, is if you're using the other button for the power. Terrific. Now, let's just consider negative 5 to the power of 3. That means negative 5 to the power of 3, you may have a button that has the x cubed, alright? Similar to the x squared, you may have a cube button. So if you want to use that, that's fine. Press equals, you should also get negative 125. Now let's look at square roots and cube roots. Firstly, the square root of 289. Well, on most calculators now, you press the square root first, and then 289, press equals, and we come up with 17. On some of the older calculators, though, that is actually reversed. You'd press the 289, then the square root, and you may not even have to press equals. It may just come up as 17 straight away. Now the cube root of 216. Now look for the cube root button. It looks like that. It looks like a square root, but it has a little 3. Make it the cube root. So we put the cube root of 216, press equals, and the answer is 6. Again, on some of the older calculators, you may need to reverse the order. Put the 216, then the cube root. Now let's try this one, the square root of 3 squared plus 4 squared. Now a calculation like this requires you to do what's under the square root. Okay, we'll put that whole thing inside the brackets. So that means that we're taking the square root of all of that. So press the square root, and then in brackets 3 squared plus 4 squared. Make sure you close the brackets, then press equals. Now if you try that, you should get the answer of 5. Okay, some of the older calculators need to do the reverse order. Okay, put that number in firstly with the brackets, then press the square root. Our final example, we're after the cube root of, and then underneath, 20 minus, and then brackets 5 times 2.4. Well, again, the cube root this time is affecting that whole expression there. So we need to make sure that we bracket that. So we'll have the cube root of, and then we can have a look very carefully. Make sure that when you come across a bracket, you type it in. It's open bracket 20 minus, open bracket again, 5 times 2.4, and then there's a close bracket twice. If you do that, press equals, and we get exactly 2. Alright, the other thing is that the older calculators just may need to reverse that. So do the bracketed part firstly, and then take the cube root. Excellent. Well, that concludes our lesson. Good luck with your questions.